Provo, stand up. Stand up with it one time. BYU with the statement win that I've been begging for all season long. Car, we predicted this. We told the people it was going to happen. I picked this game outright. We were live on the BR app for our live show yesterday. We both ended the show by picking BYU and saying, F it, we believe in this team. And our belief was paid back to us. This was a highly entertaining game with drama, with high stakes, with some pressure moments, with some mistakes made from both sides. But in the end, this was the game of the night. I enjoyed watching every second of it, all 50 minutes of this double overtime win. BYU 88, Iowa State 85. Where do you want to start with this, my friend?
Well, I think you got to start with this, and you said it. You said it for what it is. This was the biggest win for BYU this season. I saw the shift happen during this basketball game where people were starting to really take notice of that this isn't the same BYU team that it was earlier in the season. I'm talking like the narrative was, man, this BYU team is getting hot. You don't want to see this BYU team in the tournament. This team's figured some things out. They are handling Iowa State. Now, Iowa State, credit to them. They're a good basketball team. They battled back at home, right? They found a way to battle back.
Oh, give them credit for battling back. Give them credit.
You're not giving them credit?
Sure, objectively,
Okay.
you know where I'm at with this.
You hate the Cyclones, so let me handle the
No,
Cyclones.
I am overacting like there's anything special about this Iowa State group and making excuses that all their losses to awful teams this year, losing to Kansas State at home, losing to Oklahoma State a week ago, was because, we don't have our full team. Guess what? You just had your full team and you were down 21 in the second half to BYU on a night where they turned it over 29 times. Like, I'm sorry. The defense is something. This takes nothing away from BYU, by the way. I will speak on how impressed I am with BYU, but I'm done. Like, we are not going to come here and the very first thing we say is like, give Iowa State credit. They were 9.5-point favorites. They forced 29 turnovers and they lost and led for maybe 2 minutes from the second half into both overtimes. This team is not what people tell me they are. And I want everyone to acknowledge it. I've said about the entire Big 12 conference outside of BYU, who I'm buying huge stock in and have been for a month. But again, my belief, BYU's the second best team in this league. Nobody's touching Houston. They're great. BYU is right there. And I'm sick of people giving credit to Arizona. I'm sick of people giving credit to Iowa State when they got outplayed by BYU on their own court at full strength for 50 minutes.
You done?
I'm done.
Like I said, credit to Iowa State for battling back in this basketball game because they were down 21 points and BYU was busting their ass. And they battled back to take the lead in this basketball game. But BYU made plays down the stretch. They made all their free throws in this game. And the fact that they overcame 29 turnovers is crazy. They dominated Iowa State on the glass. Keba Keita is an absolute monster. That dude is ridiculously good on the glass. He had 15 rebounds in this game. He's just a physical specimen. This BYU team is they're playing really good ball right now. They truly are. They overcome the turnover issues, like I said, which I thought was going to lose them the game at a certain point, whether it was Jaeger or Dallin Hall trying to do something a little bit too much for my liking and turning the ball over. They just had guys make plays. Hall made some plays. Jaeger made a big three to start one of the overtimes. Richie Saunders got to the line, didn't miss a free throw. Richie Saunders got to the line 13 times in this game.
Dog.
13 times. So
Dog.
just credit to BYU for a big win. They're peaking at the right time. Shout out to Lone Peak High School in Utah. Great Utah high school. Get your Utah facts up, Greg.
That's ridiculous. I can't believe
I mean, some of the BYU greats came from Lone Peak High School.
You're Utah second education me right now.
I'm just saying, you know what? If you didn't love BYU when they were recruiting Franklin Jackson, then don't love me now at Jaeger Demi. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, you're not going to try and tell me about your BYU universe, okay, my friend? This is my BYU universe.
Eric Micah put blood, sweat, and tears into Lone Peak High School. Don't you dare.
You don't own a BYU bomber jacket, do you?
You've never even been to Utah.
So step off, okay?
Have you been to Utah?
I've seen the mountains.
I drove to the mountains.
I'm a mountain guy. You don't even like mountains. mountains. You told me mountains are overrated.
You aren't a mountain
You told
guy.
me mountains are overrated.
They are.
Crazy. You can't this, see, I got you. I got you right where I want you. The other thing you told me that was incorrect. Richie Saunders isn't the best player on this floor. Get out of here. Go literally take a lap around your basement.
Oh
BYU
God.
won this game because they had the best player in this game. Richie Saunders, 23 points. You mentioned it. He didn't miss a free throw, 13 for 13, but he was efficient from everywhere on the floor. 6 rebounds, 2 assists, a
Was he
block, a
efficient
steal. He
around
does
the
the little
floor?
things. He does the little things. He played 47 minutes in this game. You know how hard it is to play 47 minutes on the road against the Iowa State defense? What are you doing?
Free throw merchant in this game.
Stop,
He
dog.
wasn't the best player on the floor.
He had 23 points and played 47 minutes. Yes, he was.
Was not the best player on the floor.
All right, this is a fit. BYU fans, I'm sorry on his
I
behalf.
love Richie Saunders. He was great in this game. He wasn't the best player.
Who was?
I think Dallin Hall was the better player.
I mean, come on.
Dog, Richie Saunders had 13 free throws.
Dallin Hall had less points. Dallin Hall had more turnovers. Dallin Hall had less rebounds. He had one more assist. He had no blocks, no steals. Less minutes. Played
Didn't shoot
15 less
13.
minutes.
Didn't he shot better?
Dallin Hall's a good player. He played well. That's part of the story. But like,
Who cares who played better?
I care because you have not put the respect that Richie Saunders deserves on his name for a month. I've been trying to scream at everyone on the internet, on the Action Arc pod. I've been begging people to believe me that this team is different now because they've changed their identity and they figured it out. And their identity starts and ends with Richie Saunders being the best player on the floor every single night. This offense just knows how to pick their spots. They know when to play up tempo. I thought they made the big run in the first half court where they went on like a 12-0 run to take the lead. They were down 5. They really couldn't get anything going. They had 12 turnovers in the first 10 minutes of this game. And I thought that the big run happened because they had a nice exchange of tempo. Yegor Demon had some like full court passes for layups. They got some wide open threes in transition. But then when things kind of muddied up, they know when they can slow it down and just get the ball to Richie and have him drain some shot clock and get to the free throw line. And that's an important part of this offense. Yes, it is. And he's great at it. And he doesn't miss his free throws. So it's just a luxury to have a guy. He never comes off the floor. He was so tough and so good in this game. And when the Iowa State defense was rocking, when it was forcing turnovers, you could always go to Richie and have him play through contact and end up getting them points. And that's what he did on this night. I thought it was really impressive. But it was a bunch of other guys that played great as well. You mentioned Dallin Hall. This was the best game of his season, I thought. And yeah, it came with 6 turnovers. And yeah, it came with 2 texts from you and I to each other about why does this team play through him so much in crunch time. Well, he played really well in this game. I think that's why they were playing through him in crunch time. I still have questions on exactly if that is going to work because he had 2 really awful turnovers in crunch time in this game. BYU should have put this game away in regulation, and Dallin Hall let Iowa State back in it by making a couple really sloppy plays. But all in all, 32 minutes, 22 points. He hit 4 threes. I thought this was a game that I can't complain about, even if I'm frustrated with how one-dimensional it gets. Hey, Dallin, go do things in crunch time. He was great in this game.
Yeah, the only thing that I have reserve about is when when Hall does do him offense. That kills me. Don't like that. But I did think he had some good looks, saw some really good sets. I really liked they did a lot in overtime. They did like a lot of like smoke screen stuff, like a lot of like fake dribble handoff things, and whether it was Richie Saunders going to the hoop or doing like a little fade screen to the guy coming off the fake handoff to get a guy a shot. I thought that Young did some great things in this game to get like some really good shots for BYU. While on the other end, Mr. Muscle T couldn't draw up a damn thing for his team. He drew up a Momcilovic heave when the game was on the line, or Joshua Jefferson go take 19 dribbles to go score, which he did on to his credit. By the way, Stripes, for the love of God, no one touched Joshua Jefferson. And we just gave him free throws at the end of the game. Some really questionable decisions in this one, but not about Stripes. Yeah, I thought that, even we want to get down to the coaching matchup of this, I think that Coach Young put Otzelberger in the blender.
Yeah, I'm in between going with Eric Musselty or TJ Smashburger for Otzelberger's new nickname. It's one of the two. I agree. I think that, look, Otz is a guy, clearly he's a great coach. Clearly he has done great things with this program. To me, he is a guy who is much more like, hey, this is our team's identity. That he is a guy who's going to like dial up anything great in the middle of the game to win you a game. And look, he has built an identity that leads to great defense. They forced 29 turnovers in this game. That's insane. 34% of BYU's possessions ended in a turnover. And it was a genuinely stunning defensive performance at times from Iowa State. That's a credit to Otts and the toughness that he has built this team around. But it does feel like this team is underachieving. They're not where they should be. They're not running the right stuff offensively when they need a big score. They're kind of just waiting around for Curtis Jones to save them with isolation scoring. And I don't like it. I'm out on it. I think you've heard me alluding to this for a couple weeks now. This team's nowhere near what they should be. I don't think teams get credit for going through adversity in the middle of a season. You get credit for overcoming it. This Iowa State team has not overcome adversity. They've succumbed to it. They lost a bunch of games while they were hurt. They're not hurt anymore, and they're still playing bad. So, like, at a certain point, you've got to change that if you're Otts and he hasn't figured it out yet. Um, a couple other things that just strike me with this BYU team that I adore right now. It can be a bunch of different guys that make a play to swing the game for them at any given moment. And in this game, there were a variety of those. You mentioned Yegor had a huge three in one of the overtimes. I mentioned a couple passes Yegor had in transition. Look, Yegor is not the transcendent superstar we thought might be there at the beginning of the season. It's a good thing for this team that he's not because it has allowed them to play through a guy who's just a more efficient scorer in Richie Saunders and use the parts of Yegor in the spots where he can affect the game that allow him to be special in smaller moments. And he struggled with the turnovers. He's not gonna be happy with 3 assists to 6 turnovers, but the assists were loud, and he hit a couple huge shots, and he played 34 minutes. I thought he was just good. I thought it was hard for Iowa State to deal with him. And I have a bunch of other guys I want to hit on, but do you have Yegor thoughts first?
And those turnovers were loud too.
They were.
It- Yegor, one of the things he needs to work on, he will, because he's young. There's steps for him to take to be where he wants to be. But he pisses down his leg way too often when people get up in him. Like Keyshawn Gilbert had 8 steals in this basketball game, and a lot of it was him just looking Yegor in the eye and give me that goddamn ball. And Yegor couldn't do anything about it. So he needs to figure that out. A couple of these guys need to figure that out. Being strong with the basketball. I was baffled. I thought you were lying to me because obviously I watched this game. I wasn't like looking at the box score stats during the game, and you texted me and was like, "Yeah, they won this game with 29 turnovers." I'm like, "Wait, 29 turnovers? I haven't seen a game with 29 turnovers by one team, and God, I can't even remember how long ago." So the fact that they were able to win this game on the road against Iowa State with 29 turnovers, 6 of them coming from your starting PG, is about as impressive as anything I've seen all year.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. But the thing for BYU that I just love, like Richie's constant, Yegor picks his spots, but there's so many other guys who can do it too. Dallin Hall obviously can take over a game. He did in this game. You mentioned Keba Keita, just dominant. I mean, he in a game that was all physicality, he just destroyed everybody on the boards. He had more rebounds than the entire Iowa State starting lineup combined.
I mean,
That's
let
crazy.
look at the rebounding stats. They out rebounded Iowa State 52-24.
And you remember, I compared Iowa State to Houston in the preview. You remember how much BYU got punked against Houston earlier this year?
Hmm.
BYU did the punking in this game. And I understand that's crazy to say in a game where they turned it over that much, but physically on the boards, they turned it over and then they would look up and say, "All right, let's hit. Let me go grab a rebound." And I just love that. And Keita is the guy that instills that toughness in them. Trevin Knell had a super quiet night. This was obviously not the game for him with the physicality of Iowa State. But again, we've seen at times this year him take over games, hit 3-4 threes. He can hit a big one. He hit a big one in this game. Mikhailo Boskovich is a psychopath. Have you noticed that?
Yeah,
Kid's insane.
yeah,
In
really.
some like Chad Baker Mazzara ways.
Yeah, yeah. He's European Baker Mazara.
Yeah, Mikhailo Baker Mazarovich. He
Can we
I'm
tweet that?
I'm on fire today. But
Can you tweet that, please?
he just honestly, like, I think it's good they have like a psycho off the bench. Good teams need like a guy who's just kind of a wild card that's not afraid to mix it up. And
Yeah.
Boscovich is that dude for this team.
Yeah, he was talking that shit when they beat Arizona. He was
Right.
trying to go in the stands.
And he's that dude for this team, and it just gives them this psycho energy. And then Trey Stewart has really emerged. He wasn't playing all that much at the beginning of the season, but he's played double digit minutes in 4 of his last 5. He did not play double digit minutes until the Kansas game. So he's just a guy that's kind of been through it all at BYU. He's been in this program for 4 years and had stretches under Mark Pope where he was a featured player in the non-con, and then this is the first time really in his career that in conference play he's been leaned on. I love this team, man. I love this team because they have so many different guys who can contribute. I barely even mentioned Mawat Mag, by the way, who, God, he's had some big shots for this team. Where like the other team makes a run and it's tied, and they kick out to Mawat, and Mawat just buries one or hits a tough one.
Can we pat ourselves on the back?
For what?
Because early on in the season, we're like, why is Mawat Mag not playing more for this team? He should be the connector piece, like guy. And he was collecting like damn near DMPs.
Yeah, this is true.
So good to see that. I think he's a big part of this team. I think he's adding a lot to the team, and everything he does is timely. Defensive end, timely. Offensive end, timely. Energy, toughness. Just what this team needs. I mean, we were some of the people that were very critical. At least I'll speak for me personally. I won't throw both of us in this. I was very critical of how Coach Young was approaching this team to start the year and how it, was coming together. He's done nothing but pull all the right strings the last month with who's been in the lineup, what they've been doing, the mentality of this team. It's very impressive.
Yeah, I said I was out on him. You can diss me for it. I said I was out on him midway through the season because it was after the game against Baylor where Cannon Catchings did not miss a shot, and he just benched him for the overtimes.
Hmm.
And I was just like, that's ludicrous. You don't go to Dallin Hall on a night where Dallin Hall had like 3 points on 1 for 7 shooting over a dude who can't miss. And look, Kevin Young obviously knows what he's doing. I still am upset about that moment, but I shouldn't have jumped off the Kevin Young bandwagon because he's been stellar this season. Yeah, quickly, just program notes here, just for anyone keeping track at home. Since February 1st, BYU's the 10th best team in the country. Kentucky's the 25th best team in the country since February 1st. We did a video in the middle of the season, Cart, about how BYU had the exact same efficiency rating as last year's BYU team midway through the year. That's changed. This year's BYU team is better than last year's team per efficiency margin per Ken Pom by a pretty sizable amount. So,
And this is the first year of Young.
and this is the year before they get the best high school player in the country.
Ah,
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 things are bright in Provo, my friend. Are you? Let's make it official. Are you on the BYU bandwagon or not? Because you felt
yes,
pushy in this one to me.
yeah, yeah, I am. This
But I'm
thing.
trying to like bring you in with open arms, like this is the squad. Let's do this, and you're not there.
Well, I'm looking at your arms, and I'm looking for someone else to bring me in. I don't want you to be the arms that bring me in.
Why is that?
I just don't find comfort in your Provo arms.
I don't have great arms. That's true, but like
Like I want Dawson Baker to invite me.
that one hurts, man. You want Dawson Baker's comfort and not mine.
Hmm.
I feel like cannon catchings right now. This hurts. All right, BYU, congrats, great performance. You won me another shirt, by the way. I had a bet with Mike Calabrese from Action Network yesterday. So this was outright. He was a huge favorite. I said if BYU wins, I need a shirt from Home Field, and if Iowa State wins, I would buy him a shirt from Home Field. But I had the get out of jail free card that if BYU won the Big 12 tournament, then I didn't owe him anything,
Hmm.
and he agreed to those terms. It was supposed to be a bomber jacket, by the way, but home field doesn't have BYU bomber jackets.
That's crazy. Can I do one more thing before we get out of here?
Maybe.
So you mentioned like this is year one. Next year, the Bansa's on the way. They got Stanton, right? Is that who else is on the way?
Xavier Staten, yeah.
Yeah, Staten. Sorry. Richie Saunders is a junior.
Correct.
Caleb Keita is a junior.
Correct.
Yeah, it's gonna
Correct.
get nasty in Provo.
Dallin Hall is a junior.
Dallin Hall's a junior too.
Mikhailo Boskovich is a junior. Dawson Baker is a
No,
junior.
Boskovich is a freshman.
He's listed as a junior on KenPom.
He's listed as a freshman on ESPN.
Huh, weird.
Oh, okay. We gotta figure that out. But in any regard, like it's the mountains are bright in Provo.
What's the ideal BYU team next year? The best case version of like bringing in returnees versus portal versus freshmen next year, starting lineup. Because there is a world, crazy world, but they could convince Yegor and Cannon to come back.
I mean, if there's a world where I could get Yegor, Richie, DeBansa, and then maybe Boscovich at the 4 and Kada at the 5. I don't know.
Am I dumb for not giving up on Cannon? Because to me, Yegor probably goes because he's a lottery.
If Cannon's there, then I say yeah. Then if he stays, you have Yegor, Richie,
But Yegor's
DeBansa.
going pro.
You think?
He's a lottery pick. To
Okay.
me, the thing is Cannon's draft stock isn't good right now. Yegor's is still fine. Yegor should probably go. It'd be crazy
Okay.
if they had Yegor and Debanza, but
All right. Well, if that's the case, then give me Dallin, Richie, DeBansa, Cannon, Kada.
or just like even shit, man. Dallin Hall, Trevin Nell, Richie Saunders, AJ Debanza, Cada with Cannon catchings off the bench is just constant shooters around Debanza with Richie Saunders as like this go-to guy still.
Yeah, that team is nasty.
I mean, you talk even like just from a duo perspective, it's an all-time weird duo pairing. Richie Saunders and AJ Debanza is insane.
How many edits will we have of me on DeBance's head and you on Richie Saunders'
I'm
head?
gonna say I feel like that's you and me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I'm gonna end the video before saying what I was gonna say. Richie Saunders wants that, right? He's excited about AJ Debanza coming
Yes,
in.
yes, Greg. End it.
Okay.